the Portland Loos are progressing. You see, there's fencing up at MLK Plaza and the skate park. The hope is to have them done. If they aren't going to be done in November, it'll be pretty darn close, day by day. So we'll get an exact completion date, but what I'm hoping is that after the Thanksgiving holiday, we'll just be days and/or hours away to have both of those put in. The RFP closing date for the VMP bathroom facility has been extended to Thursday, December 4th at 2:30. And that's for a 1,700 square foot facility with 2 public restrooms, an educational space, and a storage area. And the RFP is on the website. So that closing date got extended to December 4th. Airport travel. Obviously, if you're traveling out of the airport, please be mindful of checking your flights and also making sure that you're there early. And if you're worried about parking, you can go. There's a live parking status at flypensacola.com. Our Parks and Rec department's doing a Jingle Bells on the Bay Saturday, November 29th at Sanders Beach from 10 to 3. It's an indoor holiday market, so that's on Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. And the 2 other things. The Thursday sanitation closures I mentioned last week. The offices and facilities will be closed Thursday and Friday in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. And Roger Scott Tennis Center is open both days. Osceola Golf Course closes at 1 on November 27th, and then normal operations on the 28th. And then Monday, Tuesday, Friday, sanitation customers this week will see no change. And the only change is if you get your garbage picked up on Thursdays, it will be on Wednesday. So make sure if you're hearing this that you get it out there for tomorrow. And then lastly, you guys may have heard the announcement, former Council President Moore's announcement that he's not going to seek re-election. And certainly, I think Councilman Moore has set a standard in this city, and certainly as long as I've been in this office, as someone that I very much respect, that I feel votes with his convictions and does what's best for the community, and does it in a diplomatic way and in a collaborative way. And so I think he really is the gold standard of what you'd hope to have out of a city council member representing our citizens. So sad to hear that news, of course, and I know his focus and my focus will, of course, be on who would go into District 4 next year, and how we can ensure that District 4 has somewhere close to the great representation they've had for the last 7 years. So certainly didn't want to go without mentioning what Jared's meant to me personally, and what I think he's done for the city that's been enormously important. So with that, I'll open up to any questions you got.
Mayor, last week we talked about Gregory Street and stop and going back, that is still a real dangerous stretch of road. Back in August,
Mm-hmm.
the police chief talked about the 10 deaths. Most of them happened in that area. A lot of them happened. What's happened since August? Where are you with the department?
Yeah, so actually we had a meeting with Chief Brown yesterday to talk about what our formalized request would be, because it's one thing to identify the problem. The next is, what's the viable solution? And obviously FDOT's voice and opinion in that is what matters most. Ultimately, it's their road. But what we've been working on is trying to formulate the most educated recommendations that we can give. And I'll give an example of just the conversation, and I don't even know that we're going to finalize on this, is one of the biggest we see as one of the biggest issues is just that little sliver of road at 14th going down the hill. The fact that that's accessible, whether it's taking a left, whether it's going across, all of that we know causes significant issues. That being said, if it were closed and you were coming south on 14th, then to get on to Bayfront Parkway, you'd have to go all the way to the Bay Center and back. And so, again, that's why I always try to stop myself and know that I'm not a traffic engineer, but we can identify a problem when we see one. And so we're going to put a formal letter together, request together for FDOT. So we really wanted to pick the brains of PPD out there. They're not traffic engineers necessarily either, but they're seeing what these injuries and fatalities are looking like. And so I can tell you that it is definitely focused on the crossing at 14th Avenue.
It's a blind spot going north.
It is.
You know, to get out to the road, it's almost have to get out.
And is it a scenario where someone is going westbound coming off the bridge? They are not allowed to take the left onto that little tiny sliver of 14th to turn around. Or again, that's where it's hard to say, hey, FDOT, this is what you do for a living on your road. Here's exactly what we think you should do. But we certainly are going to be putting a request together to say something's got to change, because it's just the trajectory we're on right now with the issues that we have there is just too much. And certainly, I think it's one of the unintended consequences. I think there's many benefits of losing that light. From we've all seen it from a traffic standpoint, all of that. It's certainly more seamless going in and through there. I think we can all agree on that. But I think when you make a big change like that, there's unintended consequences. And I think certainly that's something that we need to look at, and we've got to urge FDOT to look at. They have not refused to or anything. It's just, we wanted to make sure that our data was lining up with some potential recommendations that we can make to them. So that PPD will be finalizing that. They'll get it to me, and I'll get a letter out to Tim Smith in District 3 and see what we can do. Perfect. All right, we'll just send it to you. We'll CC you. All right. You asked, and we'll send it to you 5 minutes before. Anything else? If not, just other couple things. Tomorrow is the final day for our food donation, the supplemental food drive that we have, and Manna is going to come pick all that stuff up tomorrow. So we appreciate our staff and our visitors coming in and supporting that. And if you still want to drop stuff off, maybe it's not as convenient to get over to Manna directly, you can still do that today and tomorrow. So make sure that you do that. And then, of course, our Chief Craner can deliver it much better than me. Our holiday safety reminder, whether you're frying a turkey or whatever you're doing that has some open flame, we obviously see some increased issues this time of year. And so it's more cooking fires than any other holiday, as you can imagine. So, certainly when you're celebrating with friends and family, staying in the kitchen, stay at home and check on it frequently, all of those common sense things. Our fire department wanted us to make sure we remind our folks to make sure that you're being responsible and using common sense when you're out there cooking. So our ladies and gents don't need to go out and show up at your house on this beautiful holiday. So I think that is everything I've got. Yeah. Everything. Sure. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been notified that there's been some substantive change to that. I think there's going to be an item coming for the to finalize the redevelopment and all that in December, I believe, as well. The redevelopment expertise that we have coming on. So yeah, we have not been made aware of that. I had the morning after the vote that we just had, we met with Commissioner May and Councilman Wiggins, and certainly, as I had said in the meeting publicly, that the leadership, it's not just a mayor project or an administration project. It's a city project. It's a county project. It's a regional asset for us moving forward. So, we said we'd have them involved day one, literally day one, after that's been approved. We had a good productive meeting with them and want to make sure that they're, included in this process and certainly apprised of what's going on at whatever participation level that they would like. We are meeting with folks all over the community to do the best job that we can to make sure that they understand that, number one, no final decisions have been made about what's going to happen in the redevelopment. That's why we're bringing people on, and just to make sure that we're available to answer questions. Again, I think the thing I'm looking most forward to about this project is the fact that we don't come in with, yes, we know housing is an issue. Yes, we know education's an issue. Yes, we know food access and healthcare are issues. We know that, but at what ratio, at what level, what the specific need, when we start getting really surgical about that, we have no preconceived notion about what those levels are and how that should be applied and how that should be executed. That's why we're bringing in experts, and that's why we talk to the community. So, so we come in with open eyes and open ears about wanting to see what the community wants here, and I really am very enthusiastic and looking forward to that conversation because we're going to do it best together, and so we're starting those meetings now. I got another meeting today about that, squeezing it in before Thanksgiving, and of course, as we get the redevelopment folks that are going to help us with that community engagement on, they'll be kind of taking the lead while Cliff in my office will be kind of the day-to-day point person for community engagement and communications on all that. I'd have those specifics. I would just want to check with Erica again, there's part of the demolition process beginning that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to start clawing the buildings down, right? There's some, like you said, some prep time and some, all of that. But happy to get you. I can have Dominique, get maybe a more refined timeline for you from Erica that can speak to as specific as we can get now at this point, which I imagine fairly specific compared to maybe 3-4 months ago. Now that we understand where we are and that it's approved, that we'll get you whatever details that we have at this point.
Satisfied that the contract contains enough minority participation. I understand that Councilman Wiggins and others are talking about doing better at that. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I think there's two conversations. One is a general conversation about the efforts that we make as a city to ensure that not just minority participation, just local participation, period. Whether it's minority owned, whether it's women owned, whether it's local. I think I'm a big believer that if we are going to invest these types of dollars, that we want as many of those dollars to stay here. And there's no doubt about that. And again, I mentioned the new Palafox project as one where every contractor and subcontractor is a local, is local. So those dollars are staying to help support families that, work and create jobs around here. So philosophically speaking, yes, of course, there is always going to be some complexity when you start talking about toxic abatement and who is permitted to do those specific things. So we always urge any contractor to ensure that there's diverse participation, that there's certainly local participation, but I think it's half the battle is what we also, and I think this gets forgotten when these projects come up, is that it presumes that we aren't out there pretty regularly. Deidre in our procurement office is probably one of the longest standing participants at the Supplier Diversity Exchange, at these events throughout the year that the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber puts on that says, here's how you go work with the city. And so we always strive to do that, and that we don't wait until there's a big project. We're trying to do that out in the community every day. So any idea that because now there's a project, we haven't been out engaging, anybody in the community. I mean, that's been since before I got here. We've been very intentional about making sure that if we can help. I mean, and again, why would we not want? We want more people that can bid on projects. More competitive prices is a good thing for taxpayers, right? So we want as much participation as possible. And I think sometimes there's some Monday morning quarterbacking that happens when we say, well, here's this project and here's exactly what happened. And listen, any efforts that we can do that the city can take on, and ones that we already take on to help bridge that and make it easier for anybody in our city to work on projects. That's a good thing for the city. It's a good thing for the taxpayer, and it's a good thing for job creation in Pensacola. So there'd be no reason we would be against that. And and again, every project's a little bit different, and the pool of candidates that can handle asbestos, for example, is going to be much smaller than your normal construction project. So anyway, that can be a factor sometimes. But I know that certainly North Star's pledge, they understand where we are with that, and that what our expectations are is that we want them to make sure that they are being very proactive in having participation, be it minority, be it women-owned, be it local.
Satisfied with the minority participation at this point?
Well, I haven't been given a final list, and that's, I think, another misperception. I mean, I haven't been given a final list, nor do I think North Star's provided a final list of every subcontractor that they're going to use at this point. It's a long process. This is a year-long process. I would presume, and I could be wrong. I'm not a demolition expert, but there are probably subcontractors that we're nowhere near the phase of which they may necessarily be hired or put on at this point. So I can't say whether I'm satisfied or not, because no one's brought me a list that says here's every contractor. But I can say that the presumption that all of those decisions have been made, or that people are being excluded from this, is certainly not true. And I always, and anybody who disagrees with that, I would strongly urge that they reach out to our procurement office and let's get that going right away. We'd love to have you on our list, approved list, when contractors ask for people who can work with the city, all those types of things. That little extra effort to make sure that you're on board with the city and doing all those things to be able to check those boxes is not something we have to wait on a big project for. We can do every single day. And so I would urge anybody feeling excluded or feeling like that isn't a conversation they can be part of, is to reach out to us, when we're open. And I'd call our procurement office and make sure that we get that going. Anything else? All right, guys, wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see. I think we're going to move it to Monday next week. So Monday at 1:00, and Dominique will send that out. So thank you, guys.